America's Israel shield is visibly cracking as a top U.S. general quietly warns the Pentagon that he no longer has the naval muscle to keep intercepting every Iranian missile fired at Israel. The general's alarm highlights a deeper truth defense experts have been flagging for months. Iran's missile barrages are exposing hard limits in U.S. air and missile defense capacity. Behind closed doors, commanders now admit Washington cannot defend Israel forever at the current pace. A naval crisis is brewing in which the U.S. may soon have to choose between protecting its own forces and shielding its closest ally. The top U.S. general in Europe has privately warned the Pentagon just as Washington weighs renewed strikes on Iran, injecting fresh doubts into America's ability to sustain the fight. General Alexus Grynkewich reportedly told senior officials he no longer has sufficient naval forces to keep defending Israel from Iranian ballistic missiles at the current tempo. According to the Washington Post, Grynkewich's warning was delivered in late July and surfaced in reporting on August 1st, underscoring how serious the shortfalls have become. He cautioned that a shortage of Navy destroyers, the ships carrying key missile defense systems, would eventually force him to prioritize protecting U.S. forces and bases over shielding Israel. His alarm comes as multiple analyses show the Iran war has sharply reduced U.S. missile defense stockpiles, with Patriot, THAAD, and ship-launched interceptors all drawn down to worrying levels. Pentagon planners are now reportedly questioning how long the current pace of missile operations can be sustained if another major conflict erupts. Fox News, citing estimates from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, reported that U.S. Patriot missile inventories have fallen sharply. According to the report, Patriot interceptor stockpiles have declined from roughly 2,300 missiles to fewer than 827 currently available for operational use. Defense experts warn that more than half of America's global inventory of Patriot interceptors may have already been depleted by recent military operations. The think tank also estimates that U.S. THAAD interceptor inventories have fallen from approximately 452 missiles to fewer than 278 in stock. The reported decline has raised growing concerns about America's ability to protect its troops, military bases, and allies across multiple regions simultaneously. CSIS has warned that rebuilding depleted Patriot and THAAD stockpiles could take at least 3 years, and potentially even longer under current production rates. Missile experts say these losses could significantly limit U.S. military options and operational flexibility during any future large-scale conflict. Pentagon officials have reportedly met with Silicon Valley defense companies in an effort to accelerate weapons manufacturing and expand production capacity. Reports also suggest the United States is racing to increase missile production capacity following months of intensive military operations involving Iran. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has requested billions of dollars in additional funding to replace depleted Patriot, THAAD, and Tomahawk missile inventories. The U.S. is now seeking billions of dollars to rebuild missile stocks after months of intense operations in the Iran war, reflecting how quickly modern conflicts drain high-end munitions. On July 31st, Bloomberg revealed that the Pentagon has submitted a new $67 billion emergency request, a package explicitly tied to the ongoing Iran conflict and its costs. Within that broader request, $18.2 billion has been earmarked to replace key missiles used during recent operations, focusing on the most advanced interceptors and cruise weapons. The funding plan has been formally submitted to U.S. Senate and House Defense Committees, signaling that Congress is now being asked to sign off on this rapid rearmament push. Bloomberg's report comes after months of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets and repeated defensive interceptions against incoming missiles and drones across the region. The Pentagon's shopping list includes about $5.75 billion dedicated just to THAAD interceptors, reflecting how heavily the high-altitude shield was relied on during the war. Another $5.57 billion are set aside for Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles, the Army's frontline air defense rounds that have been fired repeatedly to stop Iranian attacks. Around $1.9 billion would go to Standard Missile-6 interceptors, a versatile Navy weapon used for both air and missile defense in contested waters. Some $1.3 billion is earmarked for new Tomahawk cruise missiles, replenishing the long-range strike inventory that has been used for precision hits on Iranian targets. A further $1 billion would fund SM-3 Block IIA interceptors, crucial for exo-atmospheric missile defense and increasingly central to U.S.-led protection. About $992 million is allocated to AMRAAM air-to-air missiles, ensuring U.S. fighter jets can continue to engage hostile aircraft and drones without worrying about shortages. The list also includes roughly $692 million for precision strike missiles, expanding the Army's ability to hit key ground targets at long range with conventional warheads. U.S. officials say this emergency request reflects growing concerns over America's missile stockpiles, which have been visibly strained by sustained high-tempo operations. American forces fired 13,629 munitions during the recent Iran conflict, according to Bloomberg, a figure that highlights just how intense and prolonged the campaign has become. Pete Hegseth notes that the request also includes around $21 billion to speed up missile procurement, aiming to push industry to deliver faster and in greater volume. Part of that accelerated funding is targeted at lower-cost precision munitions, which planners hope will carry more of the burden in future operations without exhausting high-end stocks as quickly. Bloomberg's breakdown suggests the funding could buy about 1,137 Patriot PAC-3 MSE interceptors, significantly rebuilding the air defense magazine after months of heavy use. It could also fund roughly 479 THAAD interceptors, restoring the high-altitude layer that has protected bases and allies from Iranian ballistic threats. Around 462 Tomahawk cruise missiles could be purchased, reloading U.S. and allied ships and submarines with long-range precision firepower. The plan includes enough money for about 442 SM-6 interceptor missiles, bolstering the Navy's ability to defend fleets and coastal assets against complex air attacks. Finally, about 433 precision strike missiles could be acquired, expanding the Army's capacity to strike critical nodes deep inside an adversary's territory. Defense analysts point out that the request may not perfectly match the exact number of missiles fired, suggesting it reflects broader planning rather than pure one-for-one replacement. Some line items closely match estimated Patriot and THAAD expenditure during the war, implying those systems are being replenished almost directly for what was used in combat. However, analysts note that other missile requests appear lower than estimated combat consumption, raising questions over whether the Pentagon is also relying on future production boosts and allied stockpiles.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the U.S. topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.